Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. I'm engaged to a guy who has a significant age gap from me. He's younger than me by 7 years. Before anyone bats their eyes on this, I would like to remind everyone that we are both consenting adults in our 20s, so no need to put that "she groomed him" tag on this. And remember, generally, not every age gap relationship ends up with ugly separation. Some of us are genuinely happy and wouldn't trade it for anything else. Now we can start with the incident that I want to talk about. When I was 22, I made a rash decision of getting married to my then boyfriend. He was an addict and was really abusive. He isolated me and kept on inflicting a lot of abuse onto me, and I didn't take any step to get out of that marriage because I had nowhere to go and I was madly in love with him. Before I could get out of that marriage, he himself left me for some woman, and I sort of deserved it because our relationship also started when he cheated on his then girlfriend with me. I didn't deserve the abuse or the pain, but the karma was the best I would accept from that relationship. I don't expect everyone to understand all of it, but this is the way I would like to remember it. So my first time experience was not at all good. Then the aftermath of those shattered feelings came with commitment issues, trust issues, addiction to alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and weed. My marriage lasted for almost a year. Then it took me 3 years more to be back on track and get my life together. It still is messed up on many ends, but it has been easier for me to handle it now because I have my fiance by my side. He understands my past and accepts me for everything that I have gone through and is also really proud of me for not giving up. I am not the most feminine woman ever. I have really short hair like boys, and I'm covered in tattoos like the scary ones. So I'm used to being judged based on my looks, but he sees me for who I really am, and that is the biggest reason I think he is the one. He is really young and has so much to see, so at first it didn't make a lot of sense that why would he tie himself down to a committed relationship this early into his life, but every time he gives me the same explanation, he's just into long-term relationships and a very family-oriented guy, so he would like to have a very normal and traditional life. He plans to settle down as soon as possible and live his life like this, and he wants to share it with me. This is all I have been wanting my whole life, and so for the very first time, I'm not second-guessing anything and taking it as it is and enjoying the process. I love my life right now. If you would have told me 4 years ago I would be in a healthy relationship and would be settling down, then I would have thought you would be teasing me for my toxic relationship. It is actually a dream come true, and I'm really grateful for it. And as everything good has something bad or hurdles in it, here the bone in the meat is my fiance's stepmother. So here is a little backstory on him. His mother passed away when he was 19 as his father was already seeing outside of his marriage and cheating on my fiance's mother. They got married within a year of her passing away. It made my fiance really mad at his father and they stopped speaking to each other. And after a while, they reconnected again when he had to move in with his father because, honey, paying rent isn't easy. He didn't want to be homeless and in debt to his college, so he decided to come back to his father till the tuition is paid off and he is stable financially to move out of the house and live on his own. He graduated, but has to go to school for 2 more years so he can complete his MBA and get a job. His parents are still supporting him, so he has to stay within his limits at certain things and obey whatever he says for the sake of his college tuition. I understand his situation. We are just engaged and no way we are getting married this early, so we're really understanding of each other's situation, waiting for the right time. His stepmother isn't really fond of me because she is my age and we sort of share some of our past together. She and I don't really know each other properly, but I know how messed up person she was before. Same as me. I have seen her ride with the bikers and smoking weed and stuff. She was a druggie, not insulting her because I have done similar stuff, but if she was going to come for me, then I knew I would need this information to come out so she can be humbled and not try ruining our relationship. This is going to sound insane, but I don't really care if she's married to my fiance's father. She isn't my mother-in-law. It is just to be on papers and nothing else. Like, no way. I won't feel it cringe that a girl my age is my mother-in-law and that to a hippie bitch whom I used to smoke weed with. This is how the incident played out. I came to my fiance's house to drop him a visit because I was missing him and due to his exams he can't step out. So instead, I got some McDonald's and came over to have a small break date with him. My mother-in-law was there too. It's so awkward to call her that, so let's use the name Suze for her. So Suze was also at home at that moment, and while we decided to stay in to eat and hang in, she kept on insisting that we come and sit at the living room because she wanted us to be comfortable in the house and not feel like we have to hide something. As she claimed, she isn't a judgmental person. She was all dressed up, so we thought she will leave sooner. So after she kept on insisting, we just took our food and started talking, sitting in the living room. 5 minutes in, she comes and sits with us. She starts asking me about how I've been and stuff. There are some parts of me that I haven't made peace with yet, and my fiance knows that too. He knows that there are things which have been really hard for me to deal with, that I would never want to speak about. I get really scared when someone brings that stuff up, and here too, I'm not comfortable to share because I will get triggered definitely, and we don't want that. I'm really scared when it comes down to my past at certain places. She tells my fiance that how he should be careful and run a check on me before we actually settle down married because I used to have different taste in men. She laughs at this and then goes on talking about how he should make sure I'm over it or not because I used to be crazy enough to steal someone's man. I might do the same when I find someone better this time. I got really mad at her and clapped back saying, it was okay, and he can rest assured if a team player like her can marry someone and be respected enough to be someone's mother, then so can I. I mean, don't you call a woman who sleeps around a team player? She got really mad at me and left. I was really hurt by the comments she made and I started crying. My fiancé consoled me and wanted to start an argument with Suze, but I stopped him. I have no idea how to deal with this situation. I don't want to be around these people. And I can't run because my fiancé still lives with them and they pay for his tuition. They can't be thrown out of our life, and I don't think I can pay for his tuition because that crap costs really too much. Another reason we need them, so maybe I'm considering taking a break for a while because that way they would stay away, but I don't really want to be away from him. So whenever I needed to think of something, my head started to hurt again. I will go to sleep. See you all on the next update. So we had a big fight the other day, and then after calming down about it, we decided that he needs to get out, and he will. He said that he will get 1 or 2 jobs or maybe even get a proper job with the graduation degree he has and then pay for his college himself. And meanwhile, I will take care of his living expenses. I have my own house and I can make up for the daily expenses. And he said he was cool with this idea. And the thing is, he just has a month in his exams. And then after this year, the tuition will decrease by a lot. So we bear their presence for a month and maybe focus on ourselves more for a month so we can make sure we don't forget ourselves in loving each other. So for now, he will take up a job and start making some money for himself so he can pay for himself and not be dependent on his father. Then we can cut them off too. So 1 month, then I'm done with all these people and start a new and healthy life with my fiancé. 2 months have passed since the last update. Now, we live together and it is not as easy as we thought it would be. And yeah, we both happen to be really different on certain things. And sometimes I do feel like giving up, but we still have it going on. He saves for his fees and I look after the house-related expenses. It is a bit hard for me, but I don't know. I'm just in a difficult phase again where I don't really know what to do. He's messy and won't understand the basic rules of the house and acts like a kid sometimes. I find it cute, but at times not even a bit. So basically, we have been dragging it by lots, and yeah, we have cut his parents off, and I'm just still confused about everything. Okay, everyone first of all needs to date people their age. Like, WTF, is this family? OP last updated years ago, and she did sound like she wanted to break it off. I wonder how they're doing. So I'm 23, male, fairly recently became a first-time homeowner. I've spent the last few months fixing the place up and turning it in to a nice little spot. I have a friend who I'll refer to as Bobby, male, 24, that I told could be a roommate after I get the house fully together and finished. Bobby has come to visit a few times during the restoration process so he can check out the area. He's from out of state. He loves the area and neighborhood and decided he wanted to live here. This is when I initially extended the offer. I figured it'd be fun and would make life a little easier having a second set of hands to help keep up with maintenance, pool, lawn, etc. Bobby initially told me that he's been working and saving to move out of his parents' place as he's been living with them the last few years, and that he'd be more than willing to help out with yard work and such. Yesterday, We have a phone call and he asks me when he can move in. I tell him that whenever he's ready, he can move in. We then got into a deeper discussion about expectations, boundaries and stuff, so we were on the same page. That's when I found out that he currently has no money saved. Just enough to get moved here, gas and a U-Haul. Not even first month's rent. He tells me his plan was to just get moved in and find a job. I asked him how he has no savings as he works full-time and his parents are currently paying his bills and he's not paying rent. He tells me that he's been going out a lot because he hates being at his house. I then told him that I'd feel more comfortable if he had at least a month rent bills saved before he moved in, because in my old apartment I had a friend move in under similar circumstances and he ended up just freeloading for 3 months. Bobby then gets a defensive tone and says, "So you didn't want a friend moving in, you just wanted someone to help pay your mortgage." I then told him, "I love you and you're always welcome in my home, but you can't live here until you do some growing up." I haven't spoken with him since, but a mutual friend of ours reached out and said I was being too harsh on him and should cut him a break. I don't think I'm TA here because all I'm doing is trying to avoid living with someone that has no real plan or money that I'll just end up taking care of. NTA, I've encountered this breed before. Bobby says, "You don't want a friend moving in, you just wanted someone to help pay your mortgage." Bobby means, "I don't want to move in with a friend, I just want to mooch off someone other than my parents." Your mutual friend is perfectly capable of cutting Bobby a break on their own. NTA, the way he lashed out when you told him he needed to be able to pay rent and his share of the bills before he moved in, combined with the fact that he saved up what he knew he needed to travel, but chose not to save any money for living expenses, shows that freeloading is exactly what he intended on. I'm a 30-year-old female and don't have a very good relationship with my mom, 55. She's a vain, superficial, materialistic person. I honestly can't understand what my dad, 62, sees in her. I can tell you the exact moment I stopped caring about mom. It was when I was around 13, I had gotten into a horrible accident, and when I was riding my bike and an irresponsible driver hit me. Thankfully, I survived, but my face had a large scar and it would take cosmetic surgery to fix. As soon as I had recovered, my mom started pushing hard for the cosmetic surgery, but I was just too anxious to go back to hospital. Thankfully, my dad put his foot down and told my mom that I would only get surgery when I was ready, and told me I was still beautiful. To get me to want to have surgery, my mom would get my brothers and cousins to tease me about my scar. And whenever kids at school gave me a hard time, my mom would simply shrug and tell me that I knew what I needed to do in order to get the bullying to stop. Because of the type of job my dad had, he was away for multiple days every other week, so he couldn't shield me every time it happened. When he finally learned what my brothers had been doing, he was enraged and threatened divorce. When my mom wouldn't support him, punishing them, which made my brothers even more angry at me, because if I had already gotten the surgery, then our parents wouldn't have been fighting. Eventually, I caved and begged my dad to let me get the surgery, and I did. However, during my recovery time, my mom's best friend was getting married, and while the whole family was invited, my mom only took my brothers with her while my dad stayed to take care of me. At first, she said it was because I needed to rest. But when I was 17, my mom revealed that I wouldn't be pretty enough for the wedding photos. After that day, I started to resent and even hate my mom. I actually eloped to spite her because I knew how much she fantasized about her moments as mother of the bride. And the only reason I still have any communication with her is because of my dad. My husband and I now purchased a home, and on the property, there's a smaller one-bedroom in-law suite. This is where I intend for my father to stay if he ever gets to that point when he's old. When my mom saw the place, she made lots of complaints and stated that she would require one of the bedrooms in our house. I looked at her and asked why she thought she was ever going to stay with me and not the cheapest nursing home I could find. My mom was shocked and asked why I would do that to her. And I finally told her because she was a crappy parent, and unless her sons are going to pamper her in her old age, she'll only be one step above a homeless person. There was a fight, and I told her why I felt the way I did, and now people are calling me TA for holding on to a grudge, and she's still my mother regardless of her mistakes. AITA? NTA, you're not entitled to forgive anyone, particularly not someone who hasn't apologized and isn't sorry. If she's still your mother, regardless of her mistakes, then she can act like it and be a real mom. Real moms don't belittle your appearance, push you into major surgery, kick you out of a wedding, and enlist family to bully you. NTA, she hasn't been a mother to you. A parent should love, protect, and care for their kids. She literally did none of that. Doesn't your dad have his own phone? I don't see why you need to speak to your mom at all, or why she'd be in your house to begin with. NTA, this family is forever nonsense is total BS. It's funny how all the people telling children to forgive their parents because family supports each other always seem to be silent when that same family was being abusive. If you were born into a crappy family, choose a better one as soon as you're able and leave the AHs behind.